Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Rock Sound podcast. I'm your host Will Cross, junior editor at the magazine. Thank you so much for checking out our launch specials. It's been absolutely insane as a response. We couldn't be more excited about it. So yeah, just keep subscribing on iTunes, check us out on SoundCloud, keep reading the content that we're putting up online. We've got literally world exclusives going up. It's absolutely mental. It's been a crazy 2 weeks. So we couldn't thank you enough. So this is going to be the first episode where things have a slightly more normal structure. We're still going to play around with some things, but there's going to be things like the news. We're going to talk about that. Obviously, of course, the main part of the show will be the interviews with all your favourite bands. Last week on our launch specials, we spoke to the likes of Neck Deep and State Champs and Mice and Men and Waterparks and With Confidence. So many great bands. So we got to keep that going. So this week we are going to be speaking to the absolutely amazing Mr. Andy Biersack.
Oh, yes.
About all things Andy Black, Black Veil Brides. If you like world exclusives, stay tuned. And also Mr. Kevin Mader from Knuckle Puck to dive inside their new album Shapeshifter and what went into the making of that album, scrapping the album somewhat halfway through and being true to themselves as artists. So yeah, it's going to be good. And beyond that as well, there's going to be things like some recommendations from us as hosts. And talking about what's in the magazine currently, pre-order bundles, things like that. So we're going to be talking about pretty much everything, I think, so it's going to be good. With me, as always and forever, Tamsin Wills. How's it going?
Hiya!
How are you? You right?
I'm very good, thank you. How are you, Will?
I'm very good. yeah.
Good, that's what I like to hear.
It's been a good 2 weeks, yeah.
It's been very crazy, stoked. Hasn't it? It's been really cool to see everyone, just listening as well. That's obviously, the whole point of this is that people listen and tweeting us and stuff like that. It's been really, really cool, and I'm glad that the feedback has been mainly positive, because otherwise I would be crying in my bedroom right now. But yeah, it's been fun, and I'm really excited to do this episode and all the episodes going forward as well.
Awesome stuff. And Mr. Jack Rogers, how's it going?
All right, Will Cross.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm here and there, Yeah, it's been really cool, just seeing how everyone's reacting to these, and I'm really glad that people are enjoying what we're doing as much as we are. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
It is awesome stuff. Yeah, actually, talking of reactions, a main part of the show from now on is it's going to be listener questions as well. So we were flooded with questions over the past few days, so we're very excited to pick some of those and to be answering those. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, let's kick things off. The news. So to start the news this week, Chrissy Costanza of Against the Current, huge band in the rock sound world, has been tweeting about the band's second album. They're currently in the studio. They've been writing heavily over the summer. Chrissy's written on Twitter that they're writing a record. It's emotionally draining, but it can be healing and cathartic when you're surrounded by the right people. On In Our Bones, their debut album, I wanted everything to be perfect, but finally a little vulnerability slipped through on the song Demons. I hope that, mixed in with some lights and fun tracks, I'll be able to show you more of that side of me on this record. And that the In Our Bones era knocked on me on my ass hard. It was my first time in the ring. I wasn't ready, but I'm ready this time, round two. I think it's very cool that she's been so honest about, what's been going on in terms of being a young band and touring her first album that's been so hugely successful. Tamsin, what are you saying?
I mean, Chrissy has had a really, really difficult year. And she's been, like I said, completely honest about it. She's been very open and letting fans know when she's not okay, when she's feeling inspired to write new music, all everything that's been going on with her. She's been very open about it, and it's one of those things where sometimes really, really crap situations turn into the best music. So whereas In Our Bones is very pop and very bouncy, and there's a lot of upbeat and positivity to it, and it was kind of being we're young, we're excited, we're touring the world, this is the best thing ever. Now, I feel like she's 21 now, I think, and she's kind of been, she's had some stuff thrown at her that nobody really wants to deal with, and I feel like this album's going to be a lot more you know what? Growing up really sucks. There are some amazing moments. They've had an insane career so far, which is only going to get bigger and bigger and bigger from here on out. And I think this album is gonna have all the really good poppy elements of In Our Bones, but I think there's going to be some really, really deep stuff in there as well. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to really show Chrissy as a songwriter. as well as like upping their production game and everything as well. So I'm really, really excited to see where they go with this.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think like you say, I think it's gonna reveal some deeper strands of Against the Current as a group of 3 individuals, and I think that could lead to some really interesting songs. Jack?
I think it's a case of looking at where they're going now, because In Our Bones was an album which they've been threatened to make for a long time, like because they've been working on covers for so many years and building up to being their own band. Like, it really threatened for them to be blowing up in a big way. But I think at the same time, they were still finding the footing in a massive way. Like, as a young band, doing things on your own and being thrown into the ring like that, like as you said, it's hit hard. And I think just the whole idea of being in the wider world like really took its toll. But to show that she is like prepared now, and I think the potential for them to be like huge, even bigger than they already are, is there. I think it's just honing in on that craft and becoming the band which they want to be, yet just like concentrating on the important parts rather than just going, oh bloody hell, like we're having to do this, like travel over here really quickly and go to China and go to like all over the world, and we haven't got time to like be young and enjoy this. Like, I think to be able to focus and have that like bit of breathing space, it's going to be really good for her. And like showing that kind of like, it's proper fighting talk that on Twitter, like, and it takes a lot to talk like that on your own personal like profile,
for sure.
So, and be that open, like people are starting to do it a lot more and use it, and for her to do it, and she's 21, like she's so young again, and you always forget.
Easy to forget, innit?
So easy to forget. So I think going forwards, like it'll be really interesting to see what they're working on and what's going to come out of it. And like I think that she's got a backing behind her as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think that album's going to be one of the biggest Roxanne releases of next year, like no question. So cannot wait to hear what they're working on. Cool. Fall Out Boy. Oh man, yeah, bad news this past week. That
sad times.
Yeah, that Mania has unfortunately been pushed back to 2018. It's coming out in January 19th now, and it's supposed to come out on the 15th of September this year. Message to fans, Patrick Stump said that they had long talks, a lot to weigh about it all, but they collectively thought it was best. The album just really isn't ready, and it felt very rushed. I'm never going to put out a record I genuinely don't believe in, and in order to do that, we need a little bit more time to properly and carefully record solid performances. I think they've done the right thing, personally. It's disappointing as a Fall Out Boy fan, but it's completely the right thing, in that, you know, I think there's a lot of bands must feel that demand now, especially with the internet, in that people just want, you know, and I'm guilty of it as a fan, like people just want new music all the time from bands and artists, like all the time. So the fact that they felt that this was rushed and it wasn't ready is definitely the right thing to do creatively. Tamsin, you agreeing?
Yeah, pretty much. As I said, it's a bit of like, oh man, when you find out you've got to wait another like 4 or 5 months for an album that you've been stoked about for like 6 months already. But at the end of the day, like Patrick said, they can't put out an album that they, one, don't believe in, two, is rushed and not quite right. And because Fall Out Boy are a band that, like, if they put out an album that everyone's a bit like, well, that's not them, or that doesn't seem right, or I don't really like the sound of that because they didn't really put the time and the effort into it, then it's just gonna end badly for them. So, like, quite a few bands that, like, you know, Paris pushed back their album by a few weeks just so they can make those little tweaks that will make it perfect. And I think every band needs to do that. At the end of the day, if you put out an album that you don't believe in, like kind of like, what's the point? Like,
yeah.
What? Like, you know, it sucks that we got to wait, but hopefully it means that when it does come out, we're just going to have, like, our minds blown.
For sure. I mean, it's we've got Andy Biersack coming up on this episode, and, you know, he said the same thing, in that the Black Veil Brides album has taken a long time because they wanted to get it perfect, and it sounds like they've completely done the right thing. I mean, Jack, what are you saying?
I mean, Fall Out Boy are my ride or die, big style. And I feel as though that it's the correct thing for them to do, because to be able to, like, have that honesty to go, well, we're not actually ready, because they could just go, oh, we've got this date, we need to, like, just throw everything in the blender and, like, just give them whatever comes out the other end, this grey mush, or, like, in like purple in the case of Mania, it would be, and for them to go, well, they're still doing the tour and they're still like carrying on as a band, but like they want to be able to be proud of the songs they're playing. Like you don't want to be a band going out on stage and going, yeah, this is a song which we wrote in two hours in the studio and just put together just to fill up an album.
Yeah.
And I think it takes a lot of guts to be able to do that. And I think it is the right decision. And I'm fine with listening to Young and Menace and Champion for 5 more months. Like when Young and Menace came out, I listened to it 15 times in a row over the duration of like 2 hours as I was going from home to the pub and back, and it just got better and better and better. And it's just gonna keep doing that. Like
after that initial shock.
Well, not even a shock. I was fist pumping straight away. I was sat in my living room on my own, just going, go on.
Googling how to make a llama costume.
I was going, how do you make your voice go like that?
Yeah,
I know how to make llama costumes. Like,
I've got one in my wardrobe.
Yeah. Just one.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I mean, I think they've done the right thing, and to be honest, it means we have to wait a little bit longer, but hopefully, let us know what you think, but hopefully we're all in agreement that we'll be getting the album that they should be making, and we'll do them proud. So yeah, and to finish off the news this week as well, Danny Warsnop of Asking Alexandria has been he's a bit of a hint machine on Twitter, isn't he? But he's been hinting that not even hinting, saying really that Asking Alexandria are scouting for their new video, which means new music must be done. There's been a lot of teasing over the summer. I for one can't wait. I mean, I'm fascinated by this whole thing without Danny returning to Asking Alexandria. I honestly don't know what it's going to sound like. All I can think it's probably heavy. Yeah, heavy.
Riffs.
Yeah,
I think after the past few years, after the Aerosmith years as well, and I think Danny's got his own country thing. He just wants to get back to the old school. Take it back to 2009. Take it back to Crabcore. Do it properly.
I mean, we've had that tiny little snippet that they put out, which is just him just screaming it into a microphone.
Oh yeah.
And it's okay, good.
I am iniquity. I think.
Yeah. It's sure. I will cope with that and just wait to see what happens.
It sounds it just sounds like pyro. That's what.
Yeah,
it just sounds like it's whatever he's put out. It's just music which is going to be loud, and there's going to be pyrotechnics at the live show and lots of CO2, and it's just going to be asking should
oh yeah,
be.
It's going to be big.
Loads of breakdowns, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
loads of breakdowns.
Yeah, so come on, guys, give us some new music. We can't wait. And just to round up news, Paris's Lynn Gunn has been tweeting about her favourite song on the album. That album is out August 25th. We're going to be speaking to Lynn as well, so stay tuned for that. Woohoo! Yeah, it's going to be good. And Shikari have announced their new album, The Spark, which has gone down very, very well. So that is the week in the rock sound world. So now brings us to our first interview, and it's a big one.
It's the boy.
It is the boy. It's the boy himself. You've been asking for him, Mr. Biersack. We caught up with Andy Biersack to talk all things in his world, really. I mean, we talked about Warped and his time on that with Andy Black. We were going to talk about Andy Black and Black Veil Bride, see what's going on, and we ended up getting pretty much world exclusives on both. So it was pretty insane. I think you might be able to tell in the interview I was a little bit shocked at points when he just dropped stuff in, and I was like, hang on, what? There's going to be, so let's let him do the talking, and let us know what you think. This is me talking to Mr. Andy Biersack. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I guess there's quite a bit to talk about. But let's start with Warped Tour. So obviously we'll kick off with Andy Black then. How's Warped Tour been over the past summer, and how's it been performing the Andy Black songs after the Shadow Side's been with us for over a year now?
Honestly, dude, it's really hard to describe. It's been the most, I don't want to say easy, because Warped Tour is grueling, but it's been one of the most smooth and enjoyable experiences on any Warped Tour I've ever had, and I've done it a handful of times now, and it's just been a blast. I couldn't be having a better time on stage. My band is so sweet and so kind and so talented, and my wife's out on the tour with me, and it's just, we have a small crew, just a few of us, and we play football, video games, and work out and try to eat healthy, and it's just been great.
Amazing. And how's it been like with those songs? I mean, has it felt like you've really kind of grown to the skin of those songs, I guess? Because I mean, I remember when it was, all the songs felt so neat.
Once you perform stuff once you start performing things for, I don't know, maybe what's been over a year, at least for me vocally, I start to find how to sing it live or a better way of performing it. And I think at this point, the set is sort of second nature when it comes to at least my inflections and what I'm doing. The difficulty comes in the fact that Warped Tour is 120 degrees Fahrenheit every day. And, you gotta find your vocal pocket when you can barely breathe because of the heat choking you. The other day I was walking back to the bus, and Matty Mullins from Memphis Mayfire was like, "Hey, you finished your set?" And we were just having a laugh about just how difficult it is to sing when it's that hot outside. So it's a little different on this tour in terms of how I've been doing the songs live in that capacity. But I think this set is also different than any of the other ones we've played. I've got one new song. We're playing songs that we didn't play on the UK run. And I'm really excited to get back in the studio and kind of expand on this. I think that one of the things about the first Andy Black record was that obviously it was uncharted territory. And I was trying to make something that to me felt representative of the emotions and the feelings and the ideas that I had. And I think in a lot of ways, that is why the record has so many different flavors and tastes on it. It's got so much different vibe, and obviously we had a lot of people come in and help us instrumentally, and it was just a fun time. But I think on this record, I'm a little bit more focused in what the sound is, and I understand the project a little bit more in that capacity.
Definitely. I mean, did that make the whole Warped, because obviously you've done Warped a bunch of times before with Black Veil, did it feel a very different experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'd be lying to you if I didn't say it was very different, but not, I've always enjoyed Warped Tour. I've always had I know there's a lot of people who it's the bane of their existence for whatever reason. I can't get down with that. I just love it. I love the feeling of being on this tour with this kind of traveling circus and the camaraderie of the tour. And, we know everybody really well in production. And it's just been, whether it's been with Black Veil or this, it's just always a blast for me. But the truth is that, I used to be a very heavy drinker, and a lot of what Black Veil was for many years was a lot of very hard partying and craziness, even on Warped Tour. So for me, this is, I'm enjoying this quite a bit because of my kind of new lease on life that I have. And, being able to be sober and healthy and work out every day and eat well and not wake up feeling like I'm going to die because I have a hangover.
That's awesome. And I guess as well, from a musical perspective as well, you're moving back into the Black Veil Brides kind of mold now. Is this the end of Andy Black for the time being?
Well, Feldy and I, as I mentioned a little earlier, Feldy and I are starting in the fall. So just, a matter of weeks at this point on the second Andy Black record. So that'll be hopefully completed. The goal is to have that completed by the holidays. And then the Black Veil tour will kick off, and the record will come out just at the top of 2018. The reason for the delay on the Black Veil record is that we took 15 months to make the record. And so in that way, we really wanted everything to be as perfect as possible. And the original deadline that we gave ourselves, while the record was completed and the mixing was completed, we weren't able to get the artwork and assets and all the stuff together exactly how we wanted it. And while listening to it, there was also elements and stuff I wanted to change. So people don't necessarily understand that when you're on a major label, there are deadlines that they determine when stuff is released. And so they gave us the initial deadline that they would have preferred we release the record on the first time, and they were just unable to get the kind of the assets together. And also on our end, we just weren't quite done at the original time. So we had a discussion with the label, and they were in agreement with us that it seemed like we should try to line it up with something big tour-wise, and we've put together something for the winter that we'll come to England with it. It's going to be a really big tour, and I think something that people have been wanting to see for a very long time.
Amazing, cool. So let's take both of those then. So that there's going to be a second Andy Black record then.
There will be, yeah. So about 4 or 5 months ago, the label hit us up. My label Universal hit us up and said that they were very interested in kind of re-examining and redoing this record for a second go round, and they seemed to like what the Shadow Side had done, and were happy with the critical success or whatever you want to call it. I don't know. But they seemed stoked about whatever it was, and that made me thrilled because for me, I've said many times, I like making stuff more than anything. My favorite thing is to create something that wasn't there a minute ago, and my brain kind of goes nuts if I don't have something to work on. So I love to be able to be in the studio. It's probably, I love playing shows and I love entertaining. Making records is definitely one of my top favorite parts of being able to do this for a living, because it's such a fun experience, especially with John. John and I have such a great friendship. That's good to go to his house and spend a couple months just working on making things with him every day is like my idea of a great time.
Oh man, that's so cool. Like, because John's worked on the new Black Veil Brides album as well. Am I right in saying?
Yes. And sort of an interesting way, because we started it because it took so long to make the record, because we really wanted to, I think, in long story short, we've been doing this for a very long time. And it seemed like if we were going to take time to make a record, it seemed like the right time to really try to sink our teeth into doing something that we really spent time cultivating. I suppose, before, not to say that we didn't spend time with it, but we were on deadlines, and we were also a very young band that people were saying, we got to get this record out, we got to get you on tour, and we'd never really been afforded the opportunity to take our time with something. So the reason I say all that is that we wound up doing it in 3 different locations with Feldman, because he wound up moving studios in the middle of the record. So it was kind of a fun record in the sense that I sang the vocals for it in so many different places, and it saw so many different rooms, and the writing process took place in so many different places. And while I was on tour, and while we were at Jake's personal home studio for a while, and it was just it was a really fun and interesting way of doing the album over the course of over a year.
Wow, man, I can't wait to hear it. I mean, how is it sounding? I mean, does it have that kind of Feldman touch, I guess, because he's got his hand in sort of so many massive tunes in the past few years. Like, are we going to hear that on the Black Veil Brides album?
Well, we made Wretched and Divine with John in 2013, and that was, at least commercially, our most successful record to date. A song like In the End was probably our most successful song. And so a lot of times people point to that record as the sound of the band. But what I think is interesting is that we have evolved significantly, I think, from record to record, from the first record to the 5th record. The previous record that we made with Bob Rock, the much more straight-ahead hard rock, heavy metal record. I think that this album, and everybody says this, of course, because you want it to be true, but at least for me, I believe that it's a nice culmination of many different eras of the band. I think that it represents all the different kind of places that we've been, while retaining, like you say, that kind of that Feldman thing, that thing about Feldy that I don't think anybody else can even touch or come close to. He just knows how to make things huge. And writing with Feldy is one of my favorite things. So to be able to come back into the world of doing kind of heavy, darker rock music after doing a pop record together, it's been it was a lot of fun. And obviously, we've been in a band together, Jake and Jinx and Ashley and Cece, and I've been in a band together for a decade. We know each other pretty well, and the writing process is pretty simple in that way. So I think all in all, it's a record that's very representative of where we are as a band at this point in our career. It's over a decade of Black Veil Brides, and I think that I'm not going to tell you it's our heaviest and most melodic, or this is the best. I think that it's just a record that we're really, really proud of, and I think it's a great album, and I think the fans are going to like it, and it's a long time coming. At this point, it'll be 4 years since the last Black Veil record, so by the time it's out, so I think it's a long time coming, and I think people are going to really enjoy it.
Man, can't wait. And as well, you collaborated with a lot of people on the Andy Black record. Obviously, you worked with Patrick Stump and Gerard Way, Matt Skiba. Did you bring any of that into the Black Veil Brides album?
No, one of the joys of the Andy Black record was doing that, having no band necessarily, and so kind of relying on the outside musicians and friends that I had made, whether it's friends of mine that I had known or people that Feldy had brought in through working with them or whatever it was. And we were also getting contacted by many artists during the Andy Black thing. It kind of became a fun thing where once we kind of got the ball rolling with, well, why don't we just bring in our friends and people in our scene? We started getting emails every day like, hey, can I come in and do something? And it was a lot of fun. I didn't feel like that was necessarily the right thing to do with the Black Veil record, because obviously as a band, I don't want to, not disrespect, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes in the band and respect the fact that we are a group of guys, and it's a different dynamic. The truth is that Andy Black, making an Andy Black record and touring with Andy Black is a different animal to a Black Veil situation. And I have to treat them differently. And I feel like it wouldn't be the right thing to do to try to steamroll both records the same way. Hey, I did this way, let's do it the same way on the next one. Really, I got to be more open to how the band wants to do things. Because even though I am a specific and important member to that band. I am a member of the band, and I want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Awesome, man, and cool. And so we're looking at an early 2018 release then for that, along with this tour that you're planning. Take me inside. Obviously, you touched on it a little bit earlier, but take me a bit more inside this tour. It sounds really exciting.
Well, I can't tell you too much more.
No, fair enough.
I will say that it's yeah. If I could, I would say more to you. But I will say this: it's a tour that, in terms of what the fans have wanted for a very long time, it's something that we have been hearing for years, and something that people have been asking for us to do. And we were finally able to get it together, and I think it's going to be really something special.
Amazing, man! I can't wait to hear all about it. And cool.
That's all I can tell you. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah, sorry, man. I don't want to put the pressure on too much, but yeah, it just sounds really exciting.
I think that people in the world that like what we do musically and are kind of exist in the scene that we exist in. I think people are going to be excited to come out to these shows. At least I hope so, because I think it's going to be it's the kind of tour that I think people want to see.
Cool. So that was my chat with Andy Biersack. So much to talk about. Tamsin, Andy Black new album. What you saying?
Well, you got a lot of information out of him, didn't you? New Andy Black album. What's starting on it in the autumn, which is, 2 months away?
Yeah.
If that depends what you
depends which end of autumn.
Yeah, or fall,
autumn.
as he called it.
Autumn officially begins on the 21st of September.
Well, there we go. So we've literally got like a month and 2 weeks until if he's starting on that day.
He said a matter of weeks, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So he's literally coming off Warped Tour, maybe having a few showers to scrub off all the dirt,
hopefully,
and sort of have a little chill, and then he's going straight in with the second album. Working with Feldman again.
Yep.
Huge.
Good shout.
I think that's going to be great.
Feldy,
yeah.
The door is wide open, I think, for him. I think it's quite brave of him, because obviously we're expecting new Black Veil Brides music, hopefully quite soon. But at the same time, so he's going to have a lot kind of going on all at the same time, which I know he loves. He said he just loves creating, which is awesome. But it's just kind of going to be like, I hope that my only concern is that he doesn't get sidetracked, and that things don't work out for either of them, or something has to be pushed back. I hope he just juggles things well.
Yeah, he sounded confident though.
He's a man in control though.
I think, to be fair, I think he knows what he's doing.
What was it you said in the office? His voice sounds like caramel.
Oh, his voice is like his voice is legit.
He could host like a love songs radio show.
Honestly, and Andy Biersack is a packet of Werther's originals. just like the one that you have every now and then, just like that little bit of smooth caramel, and he just makes you feel like when he's talking, he is a man in control. And like when he's talking about Warped Tour as well, that's my favourite part of that interview, was how he was talking about, because he's been at Warped with Juliet this time, like he's been playing a different sort of game to like the debauchery that people talk about, like tequila and karaoke.
So he was a heavy drinker, and he's kind of put that aside.
Now he's sober, he's healthy, he's put partying days behind him.
He's got a small crew, and just like, it's more mature. Like he's a married man now. He's taking that on board, and I think he's doing that like with his music as well. Like going forwards, being able to juggle, like, because he's a superstar. He's massive. Yeah. Like it. Just mention his name and like you can hear, it's like putting a shell up to your ear, but like instead of hearing the sea, you hear screaming girls. And to be able to juggle those two massive things which he's taken on and do it just so calmly, like. And
you've obviously got the film as well, American Satan, coming out.
Yeah,
that's coming out in October. So it's a very busy few months for Andy.
It is, and we will have more on that from Andy in the coming weeks, so stay tuned for that. And to move as well to Black Veil Bride. So Andy Black obviously is going to the studio very, very soon with Feldy. He's done the Black Veil Brides album with Feldy. Long time coming. The self-titled album came out in 2014, but they want to get it perfect, as he said. And there's going to be this special tour that's coming with it. Right, I'm going to put this out there. I reckon this might be, this is purely my speculation, I reckon this might be a co-headliner with Ask Alexandria, or Ask Alexandria's main support to Black Veil Brides, because I know they're boys, and people want it to happen.
They're boys.
Boys.
Good, the boys. Yeah. He was really bigging up that tour, wasn't he?
Oh,
so whatever it is, like,
I saw it on a different way, because when he said, "Oh, it's something we've been asking," I thought it was like in terms of the theatrics of it.
Yeah.
Like I thought that fans have been asking, like a drum roller coaster or something, or like more fire, or like something, which I think I'm totally wrong, but because
I mean, it could be a mix of the two.
Yeah, I thought it's like it was going, "Oh, we want you to have a whole circus on stage, Andy, like lions and tigers, like we want Black Veil Brides playing on a trapeze and stuff."
That would be as good, if not better.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like it's small budget.
Just have Black Veil Brides with like tigers on stage, and then just like Ben Bruce swinging from a trapeze.
just
Drawing.
Ben
Danny Warsack breathing fire. It'd be amazing. Yeah.
But I
Would
think,
go.
Yeah, make it happen. Yeah.
I mean, like I'd sit and enjoy that with my popcorn in the back.
Exactly.
But I think the way you're saying it sounds though, because both of them, they headlined Warped UK a couple of years ago, and everyone at that show, they were there for those two bands. Like all the people I spoke to, like all the kids, they're either Black Veil kids or Asking kids. So to bring those worlds together again, I reckon. It could be on the cards. I think speculation could be right, Will Cross.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you. We'll see. Hopefully.
Gadget.
Well, Andy was obviously very forthcoming about many things, but that was the one thing he held his mouth on. So it's interesting. It obviously kind of hints that is a huge thing that they've got under wraps. So cannot wait to talk about that when it's out there. Let's finish up on this. Tamsin, who are you most excited for? Andy Black Veil Brides, tune-wise, new tune-wise.
Ooh, I'm gonna go Black Veil Brides. Simply because we've been waiting ages for it. And I think, like, working with Feldman, like, Black Veil Brides aren't a normal Feldman band. Like, Feldman's, like, the pop punk king, which Black Veil Brides aren't really. So I don't think we're going to have, like, a State Champs album from Black Veil Brides anytime soon. But I'm intrigued to kind of see what they come up with this time around.
Yeah, I agree. I think BVB with obviously he did the third album, but the way Andy said that he's kind of brought that more modern day pop punk Feldman touch to the Black Veil Bride sound now. I don't know what's to come. I mean, it's fascinating. So yeah, I'm thinking with you, Jack.
BBB all day.
Oh man, full house.
Straight in.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. I'm absolutely fine. I want to see some dual guitaring.
Sick.
And I want to see some hairspray going on again. And I just want to see like huge choruses. Like just get back to the basics and just rock it.
Huge.
Rock the show.
Yes. So yeah, more from Andy in the very, very near future on this podcast. And thanks him for coming on because it's been wonderful. So yeah, listener questions now.
Woohoo!
Oh, we've been looking forward to this. We were flooded with questions, as I say, over the past few days, which has been great. Thank you so much.
There were some really interesting questions thrown our way.
We got. It was weird and wonderful, but yeah, it was a mix. But we picked out three. So we're going to start off with. We've kept it quite musical. I'm just going to put that out there. But do keep sending us all kinds of stuff because we love reading it. So yeah, Luna Lovesick on Instagram asks, if you could only listen to one band for the rest of your life, who would it be? Tamsin.
I was really torn between two bands for this.
Is one of them Paramore?
How did you guess? I think ultimately it would be Paramore because they are my babies in the nicest way possible. That came out a lot weirder. But like they've been with me since I think I was 14 when I first heard them, and that's over 10 years now, and I've seen them so many times, and they just like, I know the new album has been quite controversial and it's really different, but I am still jamming it on a daily basis, and like I'm in love with every single album they've ever put out. So I think ultimately if I had to listen to one band for the rest of my life, it would be Paramore.
Sick choice. And if I'm sure everyone listening to this knows who Paramore are and is probably a fan, but
no.
If you've got a tune of the whole discography, what are you saying?
Good lord. What I know what it is. I was gonna take a while to think, but Let the Flames Begin is my ultimate Paramore song ever.
Banger.
What, with Paramore?
I just was looking at you to say banger.
Oh, banger!
Yeah.
I thought you wanted my Paramore bangers, but I can say banger as much as you want.
But on that note, Jack.
Hallelujah.
Ooh.
I love Hallelujah.
That's a good shout.
I mean, it's a great song, but it's not.
It's my favourite off Riot as well.
That is a huge shout.
It's just like, it's for the guitar slide. Love it.
Nice. I'm going with the only exception. I'm going to go well emo. Jack, what's your answer?
Fall Out Boy.
Oh, okay.
All day, every day. Just a back catalogue where, like, I love Folly Do so much as an album which not many people do. Like, I think Folly Do is probably my second favourite after Infinity on High, and just the amount of songs which you can go through for them. Like, I was talking the other day with someone about how the best songs are from Under the Cork Tree are the B-sides. Like, the Music of the Misery is one of the best songs ever written. I'm into the new stuff, of course, like just a perfect band who I could happily listen to every day, and for the, like, I'd happily be sitting in my rocking chair when I'm 80, like, still getting emotional to Sugar We're Going Down and air drumming.
Well, while rocking.
Yeah, and just like wiping the tear away from the corner of my eye. Or like whatever.
I've got a really good like image in my head right now.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But just like, well, everyone else around is just like watching like Dickinson's Real Deal on telly, and I'm just like, and it's like, nurse, please play some Fall Out Boy.
Into it. And your tune, a Folly tune?
I'd say Coffee for Closures off like or because I think it's one of the most underrated singles, American Sweethearts off that.
Nice.
Huge. But yeah, I'd say easily.
Sick choices. I'm going with Let Live. I know.
I knew you were going to Let Live.
Good shout.
Yeah, no surprise. Obviously, I know. Obviously, now Jason is in The Fever and Let Live are split up. I talked about it on the first episode. But you know, obviously, they've not released any music yet, so it has to be Let Live. They've got 3 albums, all of which project completely different things. So you know, any mood you're in, any state, if you want to hit the pit, if you want to listen to some kind of chilled out funky vibes, if you want to go full on emo and just sit there and have a cry, like all 3 albums just go across so many different genres and moods. They're just, I mean, it's like you guys were basically saying about Paramore and FOB, like they are, to me, they are a perfect band. You know, they're fronted by the best frontman of all time. His lyrics are unbelievable. And they're the best live band of all time, or that I've ever seen. So yeah, Let Live, visceral, emotional, amazing, and tunes to check out. White America's Beautiful Black Market from The Black is Beautiful.
Shout.
Yeah, you just it encapsulates everything great about that band, and just they're very influenced by, as well as rock and post-hardcore and things like that. They're very influenced by funk and hip hop, and I think that song is just the absolute pinnacle of those worlds colliding. So check it out. Yeah. From Tom Dango _20 on Instagram, what song do you feel a special emotional connection with when you listen to it, Jack?
Mine's, I don't know why I feel it, but it's Washington Square Park by the Wonder Years, which I think it's got something to do with the Upsides as a whole album is my favourite Wonder Years album. It has a special place for me. And there's something just about, like, the whole world's full of losers. If you get a chance to win, take it. It just sits so nicely as like a way to live. And just the last 30 seconds of Soupy screaming his guts out about leaving blood in California. It just, every time, it's like hand over eyes, other hand in the air, just like screaming along. And I just always, I always, for some reason, get really teary-eyed about it.
Mate.
And it's just, I don't even know why. I've been to Washington Square Park and sat there, and like it's not even like anything special. It's just
I've been as well.
It's just everywhere in Philly.
Little park, isn't it?
It's just a little park next to a really nice craft beer place there.
Yeah.
But that was the best part of it. But yeah, big style,
mate.
I think anyone who hasn't listened to that album, listen to the Upsides. It'll change your life.
Absolute banger album. Yeah, he's not wrong. Tamsin.
I went with Work by Jimmy Eat World.
Oh, it's a good shout.
I thought you were going to say Iggy Azalea.
Which is also a great shout.
A lot of feeling in that one.
Has Iggy Azalea been mentioned on every episode so
I
far?
think so. We're doing well. No, the Jimmy Eat World song Work. Work was the very first song I ever heard by Jimmy, and pretty much as soon as I heard it, I just completely fell in love with it, and that kind of started my love affair with Jimmy Eat World. and it's just like that little just gentle opening riff, like whenever it comes on, like even if it's just like on shuffle or something, and I'm just like just grab something near me so I can stay upright. So I don't even know like what it is, but it is quite like an emotional song anyway. And when I saw them play it live for the first time, it's the closest I've ever got to crying while watching a band live. There's just something about it, like particularly if I've had a couple drinks, shall we say.
Shandies.
Shandies,
if I've had a few shandies and work comes on, I do get a little bit emotional.
Do you do the public transport hip shake or whatever it is that you do to Waterfall?
I more just stand there and cry.
It's like
the
the goth shimmy off South Park.
Yeah,
where it's just like look at the ground and just like.
Yeah, that literally is. I'm just like, you know, when you just kind of zone out and you're in a space just for the entire like 3.5 minutes, whatever, and then it finishes and you're like, I'm okay. I made it through. I made it through to the end. As long as like I can't ever turn it off, and I just kind of have to sit there and deal with the feelings of it.
It's always a trip.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's my one.
Absolute banger. I've actually come with the Wonder Years as well.
Fancy.
Yeah, they're there on the Greatest Generation, the opening track. Yeah. I don't know. Sometimes when you hear songs, you can always remember to the first time you heard it.
Yeah.
They're there. I just remember being stood in my kitchen at uni, and I'd been waiting for the Greatest Generation like for so long, and they put that amazing teaser up about 6 weeks before with a bit of there in it, but obviously no one knew it was that song yet. And when it just kicked straight in with Soupy's vocal, I was just like, oh my god, I think, like you said about the upsides, I think this is just going to change my life. And yeah, it does that. You know, yeah. I've listened to the Greatest Generation, you know, probably in the thousands now. So yeah, I mean, just the Wonder Years, what a band. And I mean, I know I did say Let Live's lyrics are unbeatable. Soupy rivals Jason in the lyric department.
Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, yeah. So Wonder Years, what a band. Bangers all over the place. And just to finish up very quickly, Maddie at Madisonith on Twitter has asked us dream tour lineup.
I think what we should do is say these without comment, just like to make it like if you go, oh god,
brilliant
really?
Shout.
Yeah. So mine is Stick to Your Guns, Dropkick Murphys, and Newfound Glory.
Bloody hell. Tamsin?
Paramore, Jimmy Eat World, and Paris.
God, right, okay. Architects, Enter Shikari, dual headliner with Stray from the Path and The Fever support.
That's fair enough. Mine looks a bit silly in comparison.
Yeah, so thanks so much for your questions. We hope we've done a good job in answering those. Yeah, keep asking us stuff. This is one of our favourite bits of the show. So just, yeah, keep asking us stuff. Tell us what you're listening to. Tell us what you want to know, and we will answer that for you. Cool. So just quickly before we go into our interview with Kevin from Knuckle Puck, I'm going to give a quick plug to the magazine. The Neck Deep bundles have gone up. You can order those now at shop. Yeah, exactly. They are awesome at shop.rocksound.tv. So get on that. You can either get the Peace Bundle, which has an exclusive drawstring rucksack designed by none other than Phil Thorpe Evans from the band. Also a pin badge and a bottle opener keyring. Or you can get the Panic Bundle, which is the same, but instead of the backpack, it's a hand-signed poster print by the whole band. So yeah, loads of awesome stuff there. Brilliant issue. The cover looks insane. Yeah, we're very, very proud of it. So definitely get on that. So yeah, interview 2. Kevin from Knuckle Puck. Very different to the Andy Biersack interview. With Andy, it was so much going on and sort of a finger in so many pies and just kind of telling us about what's going on in his world that was, I guess, up to now quite secret. With Knuckle Puck, they've announced their album Shapeshifter. So we kind of went in a bit more in depth about that to talk to Kevin and kind of got to the bottom of what that album's all about. They've released the lead single Gone from it, which has gone down really, really well. I'd say one of the biggest reactions of their career, one of the best songs of their career so far. So I wanted to get to the bottom of that and kind of talk to him about just we've had the album in, and I absolutely love it. It's fighting for my album of the year spot. Just to talk to him about the different influences that went into the making of the album. They also scrapped a lot of stuff and then went back in with a different producer. There was a slight delay on it, so I talked to him about that as well to kind of get to the bottom of what happened with that. And yeah, it was just a really fascinating chat. I think if you're a fan of Knuckle Puck, this is an absolute essential listen. So yeah, this is my chat with Kevin from Knuckle Puck. Hey man, how's it going? It's Will from Rock Sound. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, really good, man. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. We're really excited to have you guys on.
Yeah, no worries.
You start from the beginning. You scrapped the original album you were working on halfway through. Take us inside what happened with that.
Well, I guess we didn't scrap it entirely, but we kind of we ran out of time because we were starting that tour with Mayday Parade, and so we had a lot of stuff done on it, but there was a lot of stuff missing. And throughout the whole Mayday tour, it was we had to finish it at right after the tour ended, and it just didn't make sense for us time wise to finish it in California where we originally started it. And so we just kind of had a whole 2-month tour to mull over what we needed to do to finish it. And so I guess we didn't scrap everything entirely. We kept a lot of stuff we did, guitars and stuff like that. But when we got home from the tour, or actually I should say when we got home from the UK, when we were there for a week, we recorded with our friend Seth Henderson, who's done everything else you heard by us. But he's, right at home. He's an hour drive from all of us. So it just made sense, time-wise and money-wise and everything to just finish it at home after a tour instead of having to, go back out on the road and drive somewhere far to go finish it. You know what I mean? So and then once we got into his studio, we just kind of had ideas flying around. And so we're well, we have time now. Let's change this. Let's change that. And so it kind of became a bigger project than I think it was going to be.
So a fair bit of music did carry over from the original sessions to the second sessions.
Yeah. I wouldn't say we kept a lot of stuff. We definitely changed a lot of stuff, but we re-recorded a lot of stuff, but nothing really drastically changed. It's just we redid a lot of stuff and felt more confident about it, I guess. So yeah.
Okay, well, how did the older stuff sound? Was it just because I've read a lot of you were in the magazine a few months back, and I've been reading up on the process, and you were kind of saying it didn't necessarily feel right, it didn't feel like it was truly Knuckle Puck. Is that in what way? What did you mean by that?
Yeah, it just didn't. It didn't none of us were really psyched on it. Usually when we go into record, it's it's one of my favorite parts of being in this band because you spend all this time writing the songs, and then they're just demos on a computer for in a Dropbox file, and then you go to record them, and it's the real deal, and you just get this feeling, man, and it's great. But for some reason, it just wasn't there, this time around at first, and so it was kind of an odd feeling because the songs, I thought they were really good, and then it's it just didn't measure up for some reason. None of us were really psyched on it, and so it was kind of a weird process because we had these songs, we were pumped, we recorded them, and then we weren't pumped, and then we just thought about it for 2 months, and then we in quotes redid them. We changed a lot, but we kept a lot as well, and now we're psyched on them. And so it's been kind of a roller coaster of I guess emotion, and it's been kind of crazy.
Yeah,
but
man.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we just didn't have that feeling the first time, and we were all pretty adamant about putting that release out. We're well, none of us are like really psyched on this. So like, why would we put this record out, have to play these songs for 2 to 3 years, have to promote this album for like 2 to 3 years? Like, it just doesn't make sense to do that. So we should spend the extra time to make it right.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, so then by going what you've said, Gone as the lead single, that kind of reflects exactly what you're saying, in that it's got such a verve and such a kick to it, you know, and it's this kind of huge chorus, and you just, I mean, the first time we listened to it as an office, and we were all just kind of like, whoa, you know, this is amazing. Was that cool, kind man. Of, was that a song that really, when you came up with that song, was that a real moment when you were like, oh, okay, like we're sorted now, you know, we've got that spark back?
We felt like that when that song was still just like a demo on a computer. Like, we were like, oh man, this is great. You know, and it was funny because even just being in like Nick's basement, listening to like a demo with like fake drums and real scratchy kind of sounding guitars, we were like, oh man, we're gonna have to like put this song out first. Yeah, for sure. And I mean, for listeners who haven't heard the full album yet, would you say that song is kind of a perfect bridge between Copacetic and Shapeshifter? Definitely think so. I'm like with Shapeshifter, I feel like we cut a lot of the fat on our songs, like we didn't have parts just to have them kind of thing. And like, I just think we have better songs on Shapeshifter, which is in our eyes, like a step up from Copacetic, because we still love Copacetic, still love the songs on there. But this time it just feels like everything's much more like a solidarity like unit in terms of like songwriting, which is a good feeling, you know. And it's not to say we haven't had that feeling before, but we just, especially like Gone, we all feel like this is like how this band should sound, and these songs are, I guess, how they should have been written. Yeah. So it feels good. Amazing, man. Yeah, I mean, like songs like Double Helix, I mean, let's say what you're saying is like, I mean, that to me kind of sounds like Copacetic on steroids or something. Like, it's just, you know, like you say, kind of trimmed all the fat, and it's just like, man, you know, it's just like a complete punch to the face. I love it. I mean, to talk about kind of influences and what you were listening to while making the album, I mean, I remember you guys tweeted a lot when you were making Copacetic about listening to kind of classic emo, like stuff like Fall Out Boy and Jimmy Eat World and Taking Back Sunday. Yeah. I mean, were you doing the same for Shapeshifter, or did the other influences kind of start creeping in? I think like the same as we did for Copacetic, but like pumped up a little bit. Like for example, what you just brought up, like Double Helix, like that song reminds me of like old Taking Back Sunday a lot. Yeah, and that's something we're all really into, and so that one reminds me of like old Starting Line a lot, which is, you know, another band we were super into during Copacetic and just all along. But like, I think other influences definitely started to shine through a little bit more. Like, we all love Third Eye Blind, and so we admire how they write songs and how their songs, I guess, transgress. And so, like, when we were working on like Want Me Around, for example, like Third Eye Blind was like a pretty large influence for that song specifically. I gotta say that was a big one. That was a big one for this record, Third Eye Blind. Yeah, it's funny you say that, actually. I've actually, in my notes, I've actually got Third Eye Blind next to Want Me Around and also Wait. So, yeah, can definitely hear that. I mean, going on that kind of Third Eye Blind tip, I mean, like, do you think there's a real influence of those kind of 90s bands coming into modern music at the moment? Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's been that way for last like 5 years or so. But I mean, I think those bands from that time period shine through now because it's like, I mean, it's not for like any random reason. It's because like they're great bands, you know, and it was, you know, real special time in music. And it's, you know, I think it's no surprise that like a lot of bands from like the late 90s or early 2000s or whatever, like really help other bands like form their own sounds because like it was like great music.
Man, that's awesome. And I guess to finish up on the songs then, the album closer, Plastic Brains, it's quite a departure, I think, for the band. It reminded me of Untitled on Copacetic in a way, in that there was that slight Jimmy Eat World vibe, but then it kind of expands into something totally different that I haven't heard you guys do before. Was that a real kind of moment in the studio?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. That one was always like when we still just had like demos and stuff like that. That one was always like a favorite of mine because it was like, oh, this like sounds like our band, but it doesn't, kind of, you know. Like I think it's got a really cool groove, really just like an open chorus, and it's just like almost kind of like a simple song. Like a lot of the chords are just like the same throughout, which you would think doesn't work, but it kind of did. And so, like that one, it, like, for example, if it was on Copacetic, I think it would not sound like our band, but like on this record, it sounds much more like us. And I'm really happy with how that song came out.
Definitely, man. Does that hint at where you could go next as well, do you think, with it being the closer of the album?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like that was a goal we had with Copacetic as well, was like, let's do a bunch of different stuff, and then that way we have more like wiggle room in the future. And so, yeah, definitely, I would like to expand on that area of our band more.
Awesome. So, that was my chat with Kevin from Knuckle Puck. It was, as I say, super interesting because I absolutely love Shapeshifter. So it was great to kind of get to the into the bones of what's really got into that album and kind of like made it sound like, I think I said to him that songs on it sound like Copacetic, their debut album, on steroids. Jack, you into it?
Yeah, big style. I think Knuckle Puck are an interesting band to talk to because aside from when you listen to Andy, they're a band who are very considered in their approach and quite humble about what they're doing. Like, it's a very classic pop punk stance on things. And it's interesting hearing them be so honest about like that they weren't happy with what they made. Going forwards, like I spoke to Nick from the band for a feature like a few months ago, and he was like, well, we've been like this sad band for a bit, but we're going to be happy now. We're going to like make songs which we're not used to. We're going to test ourselves. And to then have this amount of stuff and then go on tour with Mayday for like 2 months and then go, you know, like, not happy with this. Like, it takes some guts to do that.
Yeah, they were kind of like, it's not really us. Like, we need to inject more of ourselves into this album. Yeah,
and like, be honest with themselves. And it's the same as like, it's the way that Fall Out Boy are going. Like, they could have pushed it back even further and stuff. And like, just to be in a position where it's like, we're not happy with this, and to come out with like, after listening to Shapeshifter now, like, it's stunning. Like, it's so good.
It really is, yeah. It's a banger album.
Copacetic was something special, but this is like it's a step in a different direction, but also same for the band. And like, I don't know, Knuckle Puck sound like no one else in this scene. Like, they march to the beat of their own drum, and I think it's just going to continue like that. And the other thing, I just love the Third Eye Blind like name drop.
Yeah.
Because what a band.
And 90s alternative rock band. If you don't know them, check them out. They've influenced every pop punk band in the scene at the moment.
Yeah, and if you get the chance, just go and see them as well. Like,
yeah.
That's so good.
Oh, man.
But like, to be able to take those influences as well and not like make it as cookie cutter as everyone else is when like the 90s revival, and still be themselves, like, it's a huge step, and you can hear like how stoked they are on like the product
for sure. And it shows in the album. Tamsin, what are you saying?
Yeah, I mean, everything that Jack said, like, it is quite brave and ballsy as a band to kind of record 90% of your album, go away for a couple of months, and then be like, you know what, not happy with this. Yeah. Like, we need this, we need to change this, we need to change this, we need to change this, like, and we're not putting it out until it's all right. I think there's a lot of pressure on bands to get music out really, really quickly. I mean, like, it's been a while now since Copacetic came out, so people have been like, you know, come on,
Yeah, I was like that as a fan.
Like,
yeah.
you know, we want something new. And there was that pressure, which is probably why they were like, you know, we need to get this done, we need to get this done. And as he said, he was like, we ran out of time before we then had to go on tour. So to come back from that tour and be actually like, although we ran out of time in the studio with this producer, like, we need to go, like, take it home, take it back to who we know, and just work on getting it perfect. Like, it's very brave, but, like, I think just going from Gone, like, you can already tell, like, yeah, they did the right thing.
Oh yeah, it's a total banger.
Like, as soon as they dropped that song, everyone was just like, holy crap.
Yeah,
like,
everyone.
What happened to Knuckle Puck? Like, the glow up.
Yeah, it's so true. I think they creatively, and especially in that song, they sound like a kind of modern day Taking Back Sunday.
Yeah, and like that's what I really loved as well when you were talking about influences and stuff. Like the fact he said, "Oh, we're really influenced by old Taking Back Sunday, old Starting Line," and it's just like if those come through with a new album, like those influences, it's gonna be like such a big album.
Yeah,
so big.
And like the songs on it, I mean, it goes all over the place, you know, and it goes from being like we're talking about them sort of making a lighter album, and then they wanted to make something a bit more dark and a bit more true to themselves. So you get this like brilliant balance between lighter, more upbeat kind of songs, and then darker, kind of heavier songs. I mean, there's a song on it halfway through called "Everyone Lies to Me" that sounds kind of like, it reminds me the way Nick and Joe go at each other vocally reminds me of Untitled era Blink.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so just like songs like that, and like, oh man, there's a song called "Want Me Around" that we talked about in the interview. Again, sounds like Third Eye Blind, and kind of has almost like bands like Transit and This Time Next Year, that kind of really upbeat kind of pop punky sort of stuff. Like, it sounds like that, but with a real modern sheen on it. It's just an absolute bangathon, man.
I think it's a case as well, like, it's what I already said, that Knuckle Puck already, like, they're much to beat their own drum. It's in the same way that, like, when we were talking about Neck Deep last week, like, they're already ahead of the pack.
Yeah.
And they're doing it again. And, like, people will copy what Knuckle Puck are doing again. Like, so many bands copied their kind of sound, which they developed on, like, the early EPs into Copacetic. And they're just going to keep changing and moulding and just, like, not being afraid to, like, be themselves. And I think that's something which really shines through in the way that Kevin's talking. Like, they're just doing things their way, and they're going to continue that. And I really think that it's going to hit home with a lot of people as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just to finish up as well, just talking about influences and what's gone into this album. I mean, you know, we've mentioned a lot of classic rock sound bands. You know, Tam's been talking about Paramore, Jack was talking about Fall Out Boy. You can hear both those bands, Jimmy Eat World as well. You can hear all of those bands in this album.
Like singing to my heart right now.
Yeah, you can. Like, honestly, just even in riffs or melodies or just general vibes of songs, like, you can hear these bands all over it. And just to hear someone, like a band, just like to put all of those brilliant kind of bits of music into one sound and make it sound so exciting and fiery in the modern day is so exciting. So I just can't salute Knuckle Puck enough. Like, as you say, like we were saying with Neck Deep last week, they're leaders, man. So I can't wait to see, you know, the reaction to this album.
Smashing it.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Smashing it. Yeah, cool. So that was Knuckle Puck. So let us know what you think, and let us know if you're digging Gone, because it's a banger. Cool. So we're going to do a bit like listener questions. A weekly feature we're bringing now is going to be tips from the rock sound world. So it's where us three as hosts are going to give you our personal recommendations on a certain topic. So this week we thought we'd begin with our favourite new band and why you should check them out. So yeah, I'm going to give this one to Tamsin first. Tamsin, who are you saying?
Sure. I am going to go with a band called Sleep On It.
Nice.
Because they just make bangers for days, they do. They are bloody brilliant. Basically, this is my sales pitch for Sleep On It. If you take a little bit of State Champs, a little bit of maybe like the Dangerous Summer, kind of like a little bit of like that, just like a little emo twinge in there, and like plus maybe like a bit of like Transit or something, like a bit of like old school pop punk. Cram all of those together into one band, and you get Sleep On It as the result. And they put out their EP last year, and like I think everyone in the Rock Sound office was just like, oh snap, like who are the new kids on the block? Like this is really, really, really good, and like the production is good. The
Produced by none other than Derek from State Jams,
my
your
boy.
fave, yeah.
My boy Derek. Yeah, so I mean that kind of shows just like what they can do. Like if they they've already got friends with Derek from State Jams, and like I just see them like coming in on people's Twitters, and I'm like, oh, so you're friends with them and them and them, and it's just like you're going to be everywhere in the next 12 months.
Yep.
Yeah, they're so sick, and they're such nice guys as well, and they just seem like you're kind of funny, a little bit dorky guys, just playing music that they really like. The videos are really funny. Yeah, I think like everyone just needs to go and listen to Sleep on It, because like literally, I think this time next year, everyone is going to be just like, oh my god, best band on the planet.
Amazing. That's a killer shout. A little exclusive as well from Derek himself. Album's done, out this year, so check out.
Go and listen to See You Around, and for one reason only, and that is because there are hand claps in it, and that is the only reason you ever need to listen to a song.
Jack is nodding.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Like hand claps make songs.
If you want to see me doing a strutty walk when I'm listening to a song, I can guarantee I'm listening to See You Around by Sleep on It.
So that's up there with Waterfall by Withcon.
Yeah, it's got a really good walking beat, and you can shake your bum a bit.
Mr. Jack Rogers.
Speaking of shaking your bum, I'm going to talk about Chapel, who next month are supporting Waterparks in the UK. And I only stumbled upon this band very recently, but they are everything I want to hear from a pop rock band at the minute. For one, the artwork of their singles is brilliant. It's just I picture myself, it's a guy sat at breakfast with pancakes and juice, and on one of them he's really ecstatic, and on the other he's got his face in his pancakes, and I relate to that so much. But sound-wise, there's a bit of like a modern day pop in there, like very chart heavy pop, but also just like old school 2008 beats, and just like huge hooks, like hooks for days. And there's only two of them, and they make such an amazing route that the song which I'd recommend is Fool's Gold, which
Killer.
It sounds, in some cases they remind me a bit of Cobra Starship.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
They remind me quite a bit of Hello Goodbye as well.
It's that sort of like, it's very 2007, 2006 like neon vibes.
Yeah.
But they're bringing it and making it modern and cool rather than like looking back. People say, oh, well, those bits were a bit silly. Like these guys are like legit with it.
Yeah,
they're really cool. Like really, really cool.
Yeah, they've got a great vibe, and like I think as well, like if you dig things like Saint, you can get on with them really well.
Yeah. Shout out Saint.
But
for
also
days.
if you like, Against the Current, or pop punk and pop rock,
Yeah.
and I feel like as long as you enjoy a good melody, you're gonna love Chapel.
Well, they've got the Waterparks approval, so that's all you need.
Oh well, exactly. Yeah, they're cool as well. I actually spoke to Carter and Courtney from the band this week, and they're big into Prince as well, and they were raving about that. So
Vibes.
I can go down with a new rave cover of Purple Rain. Guys,
if you're listening, please make it happen.
How about you, Will Cross?
That is a top shout. I am going with Stand Atlantic. They are such a new band, but they have made waves already. They're releasing their kind of debut EP proper in September, called Sidewinder. We've had it in the office, and I think it's been on every day.
Every day.
I think twice. It's like it was with Sleep on It. Once we heard that first song, Coffee at Midnight, and we were like, yeah, this is us.
Yeah.
and then we heard the EP, and we were just like, yeah, this band are going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard a new band come out of the traps with this much verve in quite a while, I'm going to be honest. It's 5 knockouts on an EP. It's literally 5 out of 5. All pretty different songs as well. Like, I'm so blown away by this band. They're a trio from Australia. Their frontwoman, Bonnie Fraser, as well, star in the making for sure. I think
her voice
huge.
is stunning.
Yeah, it really is.
Style.
And it's got an edge to it, because I spoke to Bonnie as well, and you're going to be hearing that in the next coming weeks on the podcast. I spoke to Bonnie, and she was saying that they really appreciate a pop banger, but they also don't want it to go too far into the kind of the cookie cutter world, and they want things to still have an edge, and couldn't have summed up this EP like more perfectly. Like it's got a real brunt to it, but if you love things as well, like with Confidence and Waterparks, you can totally get on board. I mean, yeah,
I feel like they're kind of like a really good combination. Like if you love Tonight Alive, but if you love bands like Rome and Trash Boat as well, because there is quite a lot of like grit and there's a bit of an edge to it as well. So if you love all of those bands, like go and listen to them. They're so good.
All I'm going to say is I wouldn't recommend drinking coffee at midnight. Because you won't sleep.
Yeah, not gonna have a good time, are you?
They get. I mean, like, good band, bad advice. Like, that's the thing.
Don't take their song titles too literally.
But
Bonnie is gonna have it out with you.
But I say the EP, it's to write songs that they have on the first go. It's ridiculous.
Man, it's insane.
And, like, every single time that I hear it, like, it's just wow.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like, big style, like. Next few months, when everyone gets on board, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And a little preview, but they're going to be in the Neck Deep issue, so be sure to check that out. My song recommendation, Coffee at Midnight, I think is a really good starting point. But they've also released my personal favourite on the EP, the Mess I Made now, which is, oh god, it's like it could be on the soundtrack to American Pie, but with mosh pits. That's probably how to describe it.
Yeah, I can cope with that. Yeah,
sick. So Stand Atlantic, big up. Right, well, we're coming to an end of the third episode of the Rock Sound podcast. I know it's gone so quickly, hasn't it?
Over too soon.
I know. Oh man, like I'm disappointed, but like it's been sick. Like such a good time.
Should we do it again next week?
Shall we?
Yeah, shall we? Yeah, let's do it again next week. Yeah. It's gonna be good. Yeah, well, I hope you're enjoying it. Like to say, the launch specials were an absolute blast, and this is as good, I think. So yeah, guys, having a good time.
I'm having a blast.
Yeah, it's all right.
I knew you'd do that. Like,
it's all right. Yeah.
What was the slogan? Bands? No, was it Brews?
Bands, bants, bangers.
There we go. That's what you can expect from the Rock Sound podcast.
There we go. There we go. So yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know of the bands, the songs that we've recommended. Let us know what you think of Mr. Biersack and his interview.
Send in your questions as well.
Oh yes, yeah, definitely do that. Let us know how excited you are about the new Andy Black album, new Black Album Bride stuff. Let us know what you think that tour is. Let us know if you dug the interview with Kevin from Knuckle Puck as well. Let us know what you're excited for on that album. Let us know what you think of Gone. Let us know all of these things. We want to talk about music all the time, so let us know. Little preview as well. We're going to be launching something today that's involved with Scuzz. Can't say too much more about it, but stay tuned online for that. And a reminder that the Neck Deep bundles are up at shop.rocksound.tv. So get on that, check it out, buy all the bundles, and have a good time. Next week, we are going to be speaking to Mr. Josh Franceschi from Unit 6.
Yeah.
And also Miss Tay Jardine from Tay Jardine. Tay Jardine from Saint. Both of which hugely excited about.
Yeah.
You got excited about that, guys?
Can't wait.
Oh yeah, can't wait to hear from Tay.
Oh yeah.
Can't wait.
Tay-Tay.
And Josh.
Your second favourite Tay-Tay.
And Josh, my second favourite Tay-Tay.
So yeah, stay tuned for that. So much happening. So yeah, let us know what you think. It's been amazing. Yeah, just keep us posted. See you later, guys.
Bye, love you.
Bye.
Bye.